Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So it is time for another garden tour. I wasn't actually sure I was going to even be able to do one this week because we've had waves of storms coming through once again. But it looks like it's holding off, or it looks like it held off this morning. It was supposed to storm again, but I'm seeing some blue in the sky and I don't think it's going to rain yet, so we can go ahead and do a walkthrough of the garden. All right, so everything is looking pretty good. My two little baby loofah plants are still surviving here, so that is good. Hopefully we'll end up with some loofahs. We'll just have to see. Over here we've got the rampicante squash. Those are coming along nicely. So before too long, they'll start putting off some tendrils and I can start directing them up the trellis. So the peas are pretty much reaching their end. So I will be pulling these out this week. You can see they've gotten really crunchy. You know, it's getting hot. They're not really putting out blossoms anymore. And so it's time to pull these. My echinacea purple coneflower has started flowering, and so has my butterfly bush, which you can see. And I have, y'all, this week I've seen some butterflies. There's been some butterflies out here in the garden, which is a beautiful sight as far as I'm concerned. Still not seeing very many bees, but I did see a couple this week. I think literally two. I will take everyone I can. All right, this bed over here, I don't think I showed you this last time, but we've got those gorgeous, gorgeous cosmos flowering, which I have not deadheaded them. I'll come out with my snippers and cut those off. I don't like to pull them because I'm always afraid I'll break the stems. I just noticed I've got some volunteer basil down there in the asparagus bed, and judging from the look of it, it is a crossbred seed, because in this bed last year I had purple basils and I had Italian basil and I had cardinal basil, and you see that looks like the Italian Genovese green basil, but there's purple streaks in it. So I think that was a cross-pollinated seed. The thyme over here, I've actually had to come in and kind of pull this out and cut it away because it was spreading and trying to go into the asparagus bed. So I had to cut all of the back side of that out. That stuff is really going crazy. That's German winter thyme, I believe, is the variety I planted there. But everything is looking good. The asparagus up here, you know, we've got all of the berries, and some of them are starting to turn red and ripen. And when they do, I'm going to pull those and see if I can't get the seeds out of them and maybe start another asparagus patch from this one. The comfrey down here at the end of this bed is looking really good. As you can see, nice and thick. And right here, this is an addition since my last garden tour. This is a type of black-eyed Susan, but it's called the chocolate orange variety. You know, just adding a few more flowers here and there, trying to bring in the pollinators. This watermelon over here is looking really good. It's starting to put off blossoms. It's starting to spread outside of the little rock bed, which I'm totally fine with. It can keep on spreading. Oh, I see my very first ripe blueberries. Look at that. Oh, thank you, Abba, for blueberries. There's a couple more over here I see. Now these are two different varieties. When I bought the plants, they were supposed to be the same kind, but clearly they're not. And you can tell just from the leaves, just the color of the leaves, the size and shape of them. You can tell that those are not the same types of blueberry plants. You can see the color of these leaves, and then these ones are kind of a silvery color and a smaller berry. You can tell the difference. All right, so in my tubs here, of course, we've got the sweet potatoes down there. These 2 tubs were turmeric roots, which I'm not seeing anything yet. I might this week stick my fingers down in there and examine the roots and see if I see anything happening. Same with the ginger, nothing really happening there. However, this is a new addition this week. I ordered and planted some Jerusalem artichokes. And now, of course, these are not usually something you plant in a container. These are something you would normally plant in the ground, but I figure I can give these a start here and then separate out the roots and you know, decide on a different spot for them later on that's a little bit more permanent. But these are something totally new. Not only have I never eaten these before, I've never grown them or anything like that. So I planted, there was 4 of them in the package that I ordered, plus another little piece that had broken off. But the 4 full-size ones you can see are coming up, and there was a little broken off piece that I just kind of stuck right in the middle, but I'm not seeing anything there, which is fine. But Jerusalem artichokes. What I read was once you plant these, you would have a food source forever, which is always good. All right, my tomatoes in the buckets over here. This one I need to bring my stuff out here and tie this one a little bit better. Apparently I missed this one when I was working on tomatoes the other day. But speaking of tomatoes, look here. We've got baby tomatoes all over the place. And I do not have a tag in this bucket. I think this is one of them that was kind of a mystery plant. The tag had gotten lost, and so I just kind of planted it anyways, and I just figured we'd just have to guess and see which variety it was. But this one right here, there is no doubt. That is a Hungarian heart tomato. I don't even have to look at the tag for that one. I know exactly what it is. It's a Hungarian heart. And sure enough, my abbreviation there, Hungarian heart tomato. All right, and let's see. Over here in the tomato tunnel, we've also got little baby tomatoes happening all over the place. My pepper plants in the grow bags here have been doing really well. And we've got little baby peppers right there started. That one is, let me find the tag. That one is an Ozark variety. It's a bell pepper. But all the tomatoes are coming along. They're looking great. The plants are all looking really healthy. I have had to water these grow bags a lot more than anything else, and I kind of figured that that was going to be a thing because of the heat that we have here and because those are porous. But I did order the little clear plastic trays that you put under like houseplants, and they just came in, and so I'm going to come out here and I'm going to put them underneath all of these, because one of the things I noticed that when I was watering, the water was going right through these grow bags and just pouring out through it. So it's not retaining the moisture that it should because the water just escapes. So if I put those little trays down underneath them, at least the bottom inch or 2 of the grow bag will still have some water so that it can soak up and absorb into the soil in the rest of the bag. So just kind of giving y'all a little bit of a heads up if you've never grown in these and you're thinking about doing it, because they are pretty inexpensive and quick and easy to throw together, but just know that that might be something you need to look at. Now that said, I did have some people say that they had grown in these and that the bags actually absorbed water out of the ground. And I noticed that these pepper bags over here don't dry out the same way the tomato ones do. So the fact that I have the tomatoes on the ground cover, that may actually play a role in it. So, you know, just something else to be mindful of with these. I've had no problem with these ones here drying out the way I'm having problems with the tomatoes drying out. But we've got some more good, healthy looking pepper plants out here. You can see these poor flowers here have gotten beaten up from the rain. There's like dirt splattered everywhere on them. And the sunflowers are all kind of all over the place. I might need to, actually I'll bring some twine out here and run it between the two trellises to kind of support these things. So I mentioned in my last video about the grapes here, how the little baby blossoms look like little baby grapes, because they kind of sort of are. Well, I've noticed, I think I do actually have some grapes now. There's not very many, there's just a couple here and there, because I think the birds are probably eating them, but that's not a blossom, that's actually a grape right there, or a couple grapes. And there's a few of them here and there. So, you know, I never expected to get any grapes this year just because, you know, I just planted these. But, you know, that's kind of neat to see. Hi, Nebsy. You coming to join in on the garden tour? Yeah. All right. But yeah, everything in here is looking really good. Here's some more tomatoes, baby tomatoes. I've got them happening all over the place. There's another variety over there. These here are the yellow pear tomatoes. They're like a little cherry tomato of sorts. Little bitty bite-sized ones, but they're yellow and they're pear-shaped. Planted a bunch of those. This is a baby Ozark pink tomato. What else have we got? Just all sorts of them. This plant, I don't see any tomatoes on this one yet, but these are the Abe Lincoln tomatoes. This one is another Hungarian heart tomato plant. But lots of baby tomatoes all over the place. All right, over here we've got peppers in this bed. Just at this end right here, we've got the watermelon plant. The different variety that I put in here. This one was a sugar something. The other one was a black diamond. I think this was sugar baby or something like that. I can't remember. There's a tag somewhere I'd have to look at. Willow's flower bed. Oh, looky there. Look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Yeah, it's been storming, so I haven't been able to come out the past couple days and work in the garden. So I haven't deadheaded anything like I usually do. More pepper plants, all looking good. And the green beans here. Let's see. Do we see? Oh, I see some blossoms. All right, that's good. Blossoms, blossoms. So that means we're going to start watching for baby beans here pretty soon. And that is the first time I've seen blossoms. So that's a good thing to see. And hopefully we'll get some good pollination. Speaking of pollination, we've got the zucchini down here. And this plant has a ton of them. However, some of the first fruits that were on there weren't looking very good, so I need to come and cut those off so the energy goes to the other ones that are looking a little bit better. I do, however, over on this plant, looks like I'm going to have my first one to harvest. Look at that. First zucchini of the year right there. All right, and then over here, y'all look at this dill plant. Look at this thing. It is humongous. It's taller than me. It's like about 6 inches. Look, you're not even, can't even see that. There we go. It's about 6 inches taller than me. Look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful dill. And then we've got fennel down here. I'm keeping an eye out, y'all, because I've seen some butterflies. And you know, I plant the fennel. I don't really eat fennel, but I plant it to bring in the butterflies, to bring in the pollinators. Dill, of course, we do eat. So this is something that I would, harvest some of it and use. But I also plant that to bring in the pollinators. We don't consume a lot of dill, but I plant it for the butterflies. I've got some tomato plants down here, or this one. I'm going to have to put in some stakes because they're too far from that trellis over there for me to properly tie it. And so I'm going to need to put some stakes in over these, or in for these ones over here, and get those up. The basil, my Italian basil's looking good. My parsley's looking good. Parsley's another thing that I often don't get to actually harvest because the caterpillars, the butterfly, like the swallowtail butterflies and things like that, will eat that up. My cucumber plants over here are looking pretty good. They're greening up. They were looking a little pitiful there for a little while, but they're coming along, and they've got some blossoms down there, although it's kind of early, so I'm going to come through and I'm going to pinch all those off because I want the plant to grow before it tries to make cucumbers. The anise hyssop, happy as a lark. Got little blossoms here, but we've got buds, but we don't have the flowers quite yet. Oh, over here we're starting to see they're starting to open. You can see those little orangey flowers. And speaking of orange flowers, over here the scarlet. No, what are these? Painted lady runner beans. Look at those cheerful, pretty blossoms. So we've got these blossoms all over the place. So that's a good thing to see. And we've got more tomatoes. Look at those beauties. So pretty. I love to see that. Love to see it. All the little baby tomatoes. And speaking of tomatoes, okay, y'all, I need your help. So you can always tell when gardening season comes around because my hands always end up looking dirty because they are stained from tomato tar. I come out here in the garden, and y'all, I bought some gloves. I just hate wearing gloves. I do, because they're always clunky and heavy, and it's hard to work with delicate little plants. I did find some, however, that I absolutely love. You can only buy them at Lowe's. They're made by Wells something. I'll put a link in the video description for them, but you can only get them at Lowe's. And I bought a pair, love them because they're super lightweight. It makes it really easy to work with your plants. They don't feel clunky. But a lot of times I will come down here and I'll just, come down. I think I'm just going to walk through the garden, and I find myself 2 hours later, I've worked in the garden. I didn't go back up to the house to grab my gloves, and my hands are completely stained again. And when it comes to tomato tar, it stains your skin so badly. I have a picture I took years ago where I'm like, well, you can tell I've been in the garden or something like that, and I took a picture of what my hands looked like. If I can find it, I'll put it here, but it stains your fingers, and I have tried everything to get it off. Of course, I immediately come in the house and I scrub my hands with soap and water and all that stuff. I use a scrub brush. It's kind of like a fingernail brush, but it's much, much stiffer. I use that on my skin. I have tried, and that gets most of it off, but it still leaves stains like in the creases of your skin, because your skin isn't completely smooth. There's like little cracks and crevices, especially on your index fingers, because they get a lot of work. I cannot get that out. I have tried using vinegar. I've tried lemon juice. I've even tried acetone. A few years ago, they were really bad. I even had, this is terrible, but I took a Dremel tool to my skin trying to get it off. I can't get it off. So if y'all know some tried and true trick that gets tomato tar stains off of your fingers and actually works, let me know. because y'all, you can always tell when I've been out in the garden, and it takes days for the stains to fade. And I haven't been out here in about 3 days. And I wash my hands a lot, but, and I don't think you'll be able to see it, but right here, always on the sides of my index fingers, because I'm grabbing plants, it gets stained, and the stains are still there from several days ago. And I hate it because, you know, I do cooking videos and all that, and it always looks like I'm working with food with dirty hands. So if y'all have some advice that you can share with me, please leave it in the comments for me and every other gardener out there. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video for today and finish up this garden tour for this week. I do have one other little announcement that I wanted to share with y'all. You know, this being a garden season, we're growing lots of things, but apparently there's something else that got planted to grow here at the homestead. So as excited about being in the garden and growing all the things that I am this year, that's a pretty darn exciting thing too. So that is it for today, friends. Thank you for joining me here again at the homestead. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.